In my opinion, there are three major factors that create the opportunity landscape for an extremely well-timed trade. The factor number one has to do with the fundamentals. It needs to be a company that is growing at a pretty good rate. Factor number two has to do with the technicals, where even though the company is growing, for some major economic reason, the stock is suppressed and it's not breaking out. Factor number three is where things get interesting. And this is where my personal edge lies. The stock has to enter an unprecedented area where the fundamentals don't make sense, the technicals don't make sense, and in that very short time frame, the stock becomes an anomaly in the market where nothing is making sense, and that is the area where I like to enter. For example, only 3 weeks ago, I made this call that CoreWeave will flush below $63, $62 area and we will see an instant reversal. And we saw an 80% jump from that level. And that was an anomaly in that moment. And today I'm making this video because JD is almost in that area, in that zone where we could see an instant reversal and you could make about 70 to 100% in the next 3 to 6 months. And I'm also putting together a community for like-minded people who like to enjoy their life but also dabble into the market, who's looking to maybe take 2, 3, 4 trades a year. Look for those anomalies where you can make 50 to 100% trades when the setup appears. So feel free to register in the description below. With that being said, let's talk about JD for a moment. And to keep things extremely simple, what I'm using today is just a simple fundamental data point. Forward PE ratio for JD. Right now, the stock is sitting between $29 to $30, where the forward PE ratio sits at 8.9. The average forward PE for the stock hovered somewhere around 14.3 to 14.9 when we take the 5-year average. And even if you invest into JD at $29, $30, you can see that even just going towards the average forward PE, you'll make decent amount of money. But that's not what I'm here for. I'm looking for those anomalies, those pockets of opportunities where the stock won't be there for too long. But if it dips into that zone, we can get the shares that we need. And because of the fact that the stock might not stay there for more than maybe 2 to 3 days, we need to act very quickly, which is why we're preparing ahead of time. So the number that I'm interested in is under $24. And I know when you look at the chart, and I'll walk you through it, you'll be like, well, that is extremely cheap. There might be no chance that we revisit that area. We might just hover around $29.30 and break out. But at $24, the forward PE becomes 7.1. And in my opinion, when you look at fundamentals, that is extremely cheap. So with that being said, let me jump onto the charts and explain you the whole setup. All I really want from this chart is for the price to dip below these two levels and then also sweep this previous level, which was the low of $24.13. If we can sweep below this level for even a day or two, that is an anomaly of the market from the technical lens. And that's because it shows that the triple bottom is not holding. Anybody who's watching this chart is ready to take a position around $25, $26 because obviously the fundamentals look cheap, but at the same time, the technicals look great because we're bouncing exactly at 25 area. And remember what I said earlier, what creates the best setup in the market, the three factors I mentioned. The first thing was the fundamentals. You can see that the fundamentals are doing well. And if we dip below the $24 area, we enter into an anomaly zone where the forward PE ratio of JD for a very short period of time dips into the 7s. And as the stock gets extremely cheap fundamentally, we also break into the anomaly zone for the technicals. And this is where you'll see a lot of stop losses go off. There will be a big rebalance type of situation. We'll see a liquidity flush. And I think we'll get a lot of institutional interest here. And the stock will most likely reverse back up very quickly. Now, can it reverse back up like CoreWeave did? Let's look at it for a second. CoreWeave did almost 100% jump from the extreme bottom. 93% within 2.5 weeks. Can JD do the same thing? I don't think so. And the reason is because CoreWeave has a lot of risk. They have a lot of debt. There's a lot of fear and there's a lot of market volatility that comes with AI stocks right now. But JD is sitting at an extremely low price. This is not a stock with too much risk. And you know how the saying goes, high risk gives you high reward and low risk gives you low reward. But in this case scenario, even if you get an entry below or exactly at $24, I think we can push back into 44s and possibly even above $48. And that gives you that 100% trade. My goal isn't to take a position and make 30-40% over a long period of time. That's good for most people, but for me, I'm looking for a precision zone. I'm looking for a precise sniper like entry so I can make that 80 to 90 or 100% gain on this stock. Now, I will say there's no guarantee that the stock dips into that zone this week, next week, or next month. We don't know, but this is the only setup that I'm willing to take. And once we do dip below 24, I don't want to see weekly candle closes below 24, 23 area. I want to see an instant reversal. At that weekly candle, better take my position, better take my shares, and then run right back up and close a bullish candle with a long wick. Anything other than that, I'm going to just take my 5-10% loss or 15%, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Now, as I talk about JD and as I talk about my stop loss, I do want to say this is one of those stocks that even if you don't stop out, you can hold it for a longer period of time and most likely it will just reverse. But I don't know. I'll have to see how the chart is playing out. I'm a little too stubborn with what path I want the stock to take, and if it deviates from my plan any way, shape, or form, I usually just get out. And that's, I guess, one of the reasons I've been able to stay in the game for such a long time is because whenever I see that the stock is not doing what I expected, I don't sit and hope for the best. So most likely I'll just get out if the weekly candle doesn't close above 24. But there is a scenario where if I do get my entry below 24 and we don't close the weekly candle above 24, I maybe sell half and either stop out the following week for the rest of my shares, or if the next week candle breaks back up above 24, I add back to my position. So there are ways to minimize my downside here. And I know I'm just getting into the nitty gritty and the weeds here, but this thought process is very important to create right now when there's no panic in the market. You can sit back and just play your if-then scenarios. And lastly, I want to share a very interesting thing that might be happening with JD as well. Now, international markets have been outperforming SPY this entire year. So there is a chance that if JD comes down all the way under 24 and the SPY indice is tapping into all-time highs like it is right now. Let me just go to SPY real quick and show you. If SPY is at the highs, is breaking out above 720, 790, and JD is coming downwards, and Alibaba and all the Chinese indexes, I have a feeling that JD, Alibaba, and PDD and all these other Chinese stock and international markets might become inverse of SPY. So if SPY heads into a midterm correction afterwards, there is a chance that JD is so oversold that it starts reversing back at the same time frame as SPY is coming down. And if that happens where SPY is coming down while JD is going up, that might be the best case scenario for this trade. I mean, we are going to be outperforming the SPY index. So hope you can make a lot of money in the next 2 to 3 months. Let's see if midterm volatility shows up or not. But for now, I think JD is a great setup that's forming. Under 24, I'm all in. I'll probably be buying this in multiple different accounts. So with that being said, I hope you found value in this video. Please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching.